All righty, so we are recording. All right, Attica, I know initially I said I was going to send you questions, but I changed my mind. I just wanted this just to be a conversation.
Okay.
Nothing formal, just strictly relaxed and know that we are in the pandemic, so you may hear a bark or two from my dog. So, I'm like everybody else with, working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
apologize in advance for that.
That's okay.
So, no, number one, I just want to thank you for taking your time to really, sit down and have this discussion because I think it's so important to share with students why you believe the library is important and
Mm-hmm.
how the library affected your life as a young person and even now.
Yes.
So I'm going to stop talking and we're going to enter this discussion. So,
Okay.
really, how did the library impact you as an elementary, middle, high schooler?
Oh my goodness, the library was the place to be. I remember my mom would take me and my brother every weekend to the library, every Saturday. That was like our field trip, what we looked forward to, getting our library cards, going through the Dewey Decimal System and understanding that. I know people don't know what that is now, but back in the day, that's what we did. And it just was so educational and enlightening. And I loved every week getting a new bunch of books to read, and I would fly through the books. I mean,
Yes.
I'd read them so quickly. And then it also impacted my experience as a student in school. So I was always in the competitions, right, with the book fair to see, who could read the most books and then get, a reward at the end. And I was always right there in the heart of the competition, reading the most books, right? Because that's just who I was growing up. And it really helped with my creativity and thinking big and broad and imagining different worlds and what we could be if we all work together towards that, another world and that new and different vision. Books help me to understand what's possible.
Wow. That's really to me the purpose of books and even why books are banned in other countries because they do open a window of new possibilities for you.
Mm-hmm.
You see that you start to question your current situation and then see that it can be different, but not only
Mm-hmm.
different, but better.
Yes.
So opening your mind to better. I remember one of my daughter's elementary school teachers. She said, "Wow, you guys are so well traveled." And I was thinking, "Girl, I didn't say it, but I'm like, I'm a single mother.
Right.
Our travel is limited because of
Mm-hmm.
that, but
Mm-hmm.
because she read so many books and she had so many subscriptions, and even watching the Discovery Channel,
Mm-hmm.
things
Mm-hmm.
like that stimulate the mind."
That's right.
So,
Well, and I would also add that books, at least for my two kids, gave them the desire to want to travel, right? It's like
yes,
reading those books and say, oh my gosh, I want to visit this place. I want to go here. And so now they're dreaming big. They're like, these are all the places I want to visit one day.
yes, exactly. So you said that you did a lot of reading in school and how that impacted you. But did it encourage you to maybe join specific clubs or organizations and do certain things?
Good question. So I know for me, as I think about who I am today, the library has definitely helped to shape who I am today. Like my son helped to start the book club at the downtown library here in Louisville when he was in elementary school. They hadn't had a book club in probably decades. And here he was every weekend, just like what my mom did with my brother and I. Here I am with my two kids, my son and daughter, going to the library, to the children's section, which we love tremendously, and spending every Saturday there. And so that instilled in them a love of books. And so he was approached by one of the librarians because at that point they knew who they were. We started to get to know librarians by name. And the librarian asked what he thought about helping to start a book club. And he was like, oh my gosh, yes. And jumped right in. And so, that really helped to shape who they are today. But also, we would spend time at bookstores and we go to the bookstore downtown, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But we go to the bookstore and we every weekend, get a hot chocolate. And we'd see Miss Woodson, who also worked at my son's school. And so we'd see her and get our hot chocolate with marshmallows. And then we'd sit in the children's section at the bookstore upstairs and literally spend hours there. And then what that also did, Ms. Holmes, is that it really got me reading the books that my kids were reading.
Yes.
So my
Yes.
son would read, the Charlie Bone series. And I was like, who is this Charlie Bone guy? And then I got into it. And then we'd be able to have conversations about what we were reading. And then, my daughter was like, well, I don't want to be left out, right? She's 5 years younger. She's like, well, I'm going to figure out how to read these books. So she could be part of the conversation.
So how were your book conversations? Were they, just, oh, I read a book and it was good? How was that?
Oh, our conversations were vibrant conversations. I mean, it was beyond, I read the book and it was good. It was like, oh my gosh, what did you think when this happened? Why in the world would they do that? Would you have done that? And they're like, no, I wouldn't have done that. Or would you want to visit that place one day? Or what do you think about these animals being able to talk? Or would you want to time travel? I want to time travel. But wait a minute, if you time travel and you mess up one thing, it can mess up everything. Like we couldn't exist if we messed up that one thing in time. So like having all these kinds of conversations really helped to deepen our relationship as mom and kids because we were able to share something in common that came from them first, right? That as kids, they were deciding what books they wanted to read, and then mom was reading those books to engage with them in conversation.
And look, as a librarian, I'm just so giddy about this conversation. I'm loving it. What advice can you give a parent to help them, find that common ground and begin to engage with their children on a different level?
Yes.
How can they do that?
Well, one of the things that I did as a mom, and I encourage parents to do this often, is if there's a movie coming out that's based on a book that your kids want to see, encourage them to read the book first. Because I would do that with my kids. I'm like, you have to read the book before we can watch the movie, because then afterwards I want to talk about what was missing in the movie that you saw in the book or you read in the book. And so I think that's a really good way of having kids say, oh, okay, all right. And then you read the book as well, and you all have a conversation, and then you watch the movie together. And you can talk about, well, what was different from the book and the movie? And why do you think they took out that part? Or why do you think they switched up this part? And it really is exciting and engaging for your child. And they're looking at you like, oh, this is the cool parent who actually reads the books and watches the movies. Okay.
And this is really stimulating higher order thinking, critical thinking, analysis.
Yes.
So it's definitely helping your child think analytically.
Right. And in the midst of a global pandemic, right, where we're all trying to stay healthy and safe, it's a way for you to be involved with your child differently. And it's a way to get them thinking about things differently, right? Instead of just it's fine to be lost in your book, because I still get lost in books. And it also supports you in developing relationships and connections with people and with one another, right? So you don't lose that because we're at home. You're continuing to strengthen that so that when this global pandemic is over and we go back into the world with other people, we haven't lost that ability to connect.
Yes. Last question. How is the library impacting you as an adult?
Oh, it still impacts me as an adult to this day, and in different ways. So the library is a resource, right? It's an amazing place to go and get books. I love fantasy and sci-fi and mysteries and all that good stuff. But it also is a place where I can go and hold meetings with people, right? With folks in my district or with groups or organizations. It is a place where I can refer folks to who need supportive services on how to use technology. I need to submit this resume. I really need this job. Well, go to the library. They have resources to support you. Or, a student who's needing some help with some research, go to the library. Those librarians are amazing. They will help you out with your research and probably help you find whatever it is that you're looking for. So on so many levels, the library, it has always been a resource, to be honest with you. It's always been a safe place, because while I didn't realize it growing up, it was a safe place. It was a place where my single mom could take her 2 kids, and for hours we'd get lost in the books and bookshelves, right? And not have to think about what was happening in the streets, right? Or in our community or our neighborhood. it's still that safe place. And it's grown to understand that there are other ways in which it can serve its adult community. And the library is stepping into that role.
Awesome. And Representative Scott, I purposely did not introduce you in the beginning of this, and I purposely did not introduce myself. I wanted people to see us as two African-American women, very, very relatable as mothers, and how we support our children. And I think the greatest way that we've supported our children was through literacy. Definitely. Yes. So I will definitely say this is Representative Attica Scott from the state of Kentucky, who is simply amazing. She is our living Black history. So I am celebrating her for Black History Month. My name is Sharonda Holmes. I am the librarian at Simple Elementary. I know your time is precious, and I just want to say really thank you for having this important conversation. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
Well, Ms. Holmes, thank you so much. And, I love showing up for our schools. I love the kids and, yes, and all of our professionals like you that are in the school building, although it's virtual right now, but love showing up for you in any way that I can. And I also want our students to know that a love of reading, a love of literacy also impacts your writing and your speaking ability, because you're learning new words and you're learning new ways of writing and thinking about writing. So dig deep into those books and begin to imagine yourself writing your own books and sharing your own stories, because people want to hear what you have to say.
Again, thank you so much, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.